The haunted duplex. I grew up in a duplex that was notoriously haunted. The eerie experiences there were so numerous that I could easily fill a book, but what follows is just a glimpse into the unsettling events that took place. I was only 6 or 7 years old during our time there, so my memories are not entirely clear, but the vivid ones are deeply unsettling. Our family lived in that duplex for 2 years, but it felt like an eternity because of the constant creepy occurrences. I remember hearing strange noises at night, like footsteps when no one was there, and seeing shadows moving on the walls. One detail that has always stuck with me is a porcelain doll I had. In 1995, when I was born, it was common for family members to give newborns a porcelain doll. My doll had a light blue dress with white frills and curly blonde hair, and it was attached to a swing. It stayed in its box until I was about 10 years old. At that age, I was a big fan of the TV show The Big Comfy Couch, and I had a Molly doll from the show. She came with little cardboard accessories like bows and thought bubbles. Although I don't remember playing with her much, my mom said I always had her with me, and she looked well loved. After we moved to a new house, I rediscovered Molly in my toy box and felt a strange connection to her. I decided to keep her in the corner of my bed, between the wall and the bed frame. She remained there for a few months, but soon, I started having disturbing nightmares. In my dreams, my cousin's bedroom would appear different from how it really was. Molly would be sitting against my cousin's pillows in a room decorated in girly pinks and purples. The moment I saw her, a terrible feeling of dread would overcome me. Molly would slowly stand up, float, and turn towards me. The room would go dark, and I would scramble to find the light switch, only for it to malfunction. I would run to the door, feeling Molly close behind, and see her floating in the hallway. I'd reach my grandma, but her eyes would be red, and she would stare ahead blankly. Then I would wake up. Frustrated with these recurring nightmares, I eventually decided to hide Molly in a pillowcase under my bed. Despite this, I still felt uneasy, so I moved her to the crawl space. Nearly 10 years later, while moving homes, my mom found Molly in the crawl space. I ended up giving her away, learning that Molly dolls can be quite valuable. The duplex had a malevolent presence that seemed to take the form of my childhood toys. I remember hanging the porcelain doll on my wall and staring at her all night, expecting her to move or turn her head. It felt like a scene from a horror movie, and I eventually got rid of the doll because I couldn't stand the unsettling presence. Now, I have 3 dogs and my girlfriend, who recently suffered a horse riding accident and is recovering. I'm handling everything on my own for now. After preparing dinner, I remembered the dogs needed their walk before they became restless. It was around 7:30 p.m., and the sun was setting. We live in a city known for its safety, with parks and green belts popular for jogging and dog walking, even at night. Next to my girlfriend's house is a park connected to a series of parks called the Green Belt. I usually let the dogs run off leash in a safe area, despite it being against the rules. As they played in the dark with their light-up collars, I munched on a banana and listened to Michael Bublé through my headphones. When I saw someone approaching under one of the few streetlights, I noticed he was very tall and thin, moving unnaturally slowly, like he was gliding. He was holding something in his arms, but I couldn't make it out. As he got closer, I saw he was holding a baby against his chest, not cradling it but holding it in a basic rocking position. What was most disturbing was his intense, blank stare. As he passed by, I took a quick glance at the baby, and realized it was a doll, which made me feel extremely relieved, yet disturbed by the situation. I tried to break his stare by asking if he was okay, but he kept staring, turning his head to follow me. I was so unsettled that I called my girlfriend, keeping her on the phone as I walked quickly. Eventually, the man turned and walked away. I felt shaken by his eerie, emotionless demeanor. Even though he never did anything to me, his blank stare was unsettling. Now, I'm going to lock all the windows and try to sleep while holding my dog for comfort. I apologize if I ever dismissed others' scary stories as mere entertainment. These experiences are very real and frightening. The haunted doll. I have a doll that I now believe is the source of the strange occurrences in my house. We moved here almost 2 years ago, and initially, everything seemed normal. But one day, while I was home alone, I heard strange noises that made me think there was an intruder. I was so frightened that I called 911, but when the police arrived, they found nothing. I felt embarrassed and thought I might just be paranoid because of the new house. However, the strange events didn't stop there. I started hearing knocking and tapping sounds at night, even when I was alone. Sometimes the noises seemed to come from inside the walls, other times from the ceiling or floors. Then I began to notice odd occurrences in my bedroom. My pet bird would become restless and chirp loudly for no apparent reason. The doll, a family heirloom, is kept in a box in the corner of my closet, and I noticed the most unusual activity centered around it. I also have a spirit board in my room, but it's just for decoration and doesn't have a planchette. I mention this because it might be connected to the disturbances. The strange events included flickering lights, the doll turning off the lights, and my electronics acting up, like the TV changing channels or the radio turning on by itself. I initially thought these issues were due to old wiring in the house. Last Christmas, while on a call with a friend, my phone screen went black, and the blanket over me was suddenly pulled off. Recently, similar strange things have happened, but now they are months apart. This morning, while lying in bed with a pillow on my shoulder, I felt a heavy pressure, as if something was pushing down. I thought it was my dog, but he wasn't in the room. When I woke up, it was just after 3:30 a.m. I don't follow any particular religion, but I have a tattoo of an upside-down cross with a moon and wear an ankh necklace. I've decided to burn the spirit board and the doll, even though it's a family heirloom. I hope that getting rid of these items will help settle the disturbances. I've also had pet birds that fell ill suddenly, which I used to think was bad luck. Now, I'm starting to think there might be a connection. I reached out to a paranormal investigator with over 40 years of experience, who is interested in examining the doll. Despite my strong connection to it, I'm beginning to think it might be the source of the disturbances. The Roosevelt Hotel in 2009, I went to New Orleans with a close friend to work on a project. We were hired to install new data wiring at the Roosevelt Hotel on Canal Street because Hurricane Katrina had caused significant damage. Initially, we worked during the day, but soon decided to switch to night shifts for a quieter experience. The hotel was mostly empty except for an old security guard who was a retired New Orleans police officer. One night, around 3:30 a.m., we were tasked with running a fiber line from the top floor to the basement. The hotel was under renovation, so most things were out of order, including the elevators. The only working one was the old service elevator, which required one person to hold the button inside to make it move, while another had to keep the door shut. After setting up on the top floor, we took the elevator down to the 12th floor. When we got off, we saw the number 12 on the piece of paper by the elevator. We walked to the telephone room and saw the fiber line we were pulling already running down to the 11th floor. However, when we went back to the service elevator, it wasn't there. We were filled with panic and confusion. I looked at the wall and saw the number 22. We rushed to the stairs and ran down 10 flights. When we reached the stairwell door, the elevator was waiting for us on the 12th floor, its doors open with a dim orange light glowing. Terrified, we ran down to the first floor and frantically looked for our boss. That was my last night working at the hotel. When I share this story, people often laugh, but I still wonder if something strange is going on at the Roosevelt Hotel. Sometimes, I even call my buddy to confirm our shared experience. I'm left wondering if I was ever in the right dimension.